You're listening to the Health Courage Collective podcast, episode 64, Resetting Your Set Point. Welcome to the Health Courage Collective podcast, the show for women who are too busy to slog through hours of generalized, inapplicable, and often contradictory health information, but too smart to ignore that a few minutes of focused attention now can prevent years of suffering in the future. I'm your host, Christina Hackett, a pharmacist who doesn't want you to live on prescriptions, a certified coach specifically trained to maximize your potential, and a compulsive learner obsessed with preventative, cutting-edge, holistic, and integrative medicine. I'm on a mission to increase your physical and mental resilience so you can fearlessly look forward to your next 40-plus limitless years. Your time is now. Let's go. Hey, welcome to another episode. Thank you so much for being here. Have you been thinking twice about taking any common medications? A lot of people don't, so good for you. It's interesting how adding new molecules to our bodies can change so much more than we're told about the side effect list. Today, we're going to talk about your set point. This is hugely important. As we think about using our precious time and energy to focus on the most impactful, highest leverage functions, your set point is about as high impact as it gets. I'm sure you've heard of a set point before. It's like a homing beacon. We're automatically programmed to come back to it time and time again. A lot of people talk about set point in terms of body weight, that we have a set point that we'll keep returning to whether we gain or lose weight. We'll keep coming back to it. But we can also have set points for happiness, productivity, love, net worth, net income, life drama, etc. Obviously, it's not a perfect theory or perfectly linear, but I think it's worth spending a few minutes thinking about it today. Because to the extent that it is running in the background, if we can raise our set point, we can change our entire life in that area. Pretty awesome. If you remember back to episode 56, we talked about algorithms, how algorithms run in the background on autopilot. The most basic algorithm example we talked about was a thermostat. If you set it to a certain temperature, you never have to think about it again. If it gets colder than that, the heat will come on. If it gets warmer than that, the air conditioner will come on. That's a classic set point. It's great if you want to stay 72 degrees. You've probably heard before that billionaires who lose all their money tend to make it all back in a fairly short period of time, and that similarly, broke people who win the lottery tend to spend it all and get back to broke pretty quickly. They're returning to their set points. There are similar set points for many other areas of our life. I've read this quote to you before back in episode 49 about sleep, but I think it applies here too. This is from Matthew Walker in his book, Why We Sleep. With chronic sleep restriction over months or years, an individual will actually acclimate to their impaired performance, lower alertness, and reduced energy levels. That low-level exhaustion becomes their accepted norm or baseline. Individuals who fail to recognize how their perennial state of sleep efficiency has come to compromise their mental aptitude and physical vitality, including the slow accumulation of ill health. A link between the former and the latter is rarely made in their mind. Based on epidemiological studies of average sleep time, millions of individuals unwittingly spend years of their life in a suboptimal state of psychological and physiological functioning, never maximizing their potential of mind or body due to their blind persistence on sleeping too little. 60 years of scientific research prevent me from accepting anyone who tells me that he or she can get by on just 4 or 5 hours of sleep a night, just fine. End quote. I love that quote for the sleep importance, but more so for the idea of baseline resetting. We can operate every hour of every day thinking we're fine and not even understand that we've acclimated to a lower level of performance than we're actually capable of. And not just in a single area. Like, I think we all get it that if we were professional actors who get paid to look a certain way, we could hire 2 personal chefs, 3 personal trainers, and a makeup artist and make that happen. Have you heard about what celebrities do to get ready for like a red carpet event? Many thousands of dollars for the dress, obviously, but thousands for a hairdresser for a single day. Thousands for a makeup artist for for a single day, thousands for a body makeup contourist, and often 2 pairs of Spanx on top of each other. Then we compare ourselves on an average Wednesday to that? It's crazy. But I'm talking about under our current circumstances, with the resources we already have, we could be effortlessly operating from a different baseline than we are now, if we want to. Not because we need to be worthy, but because it's pretty cool to take the chance to up our game, right? So what's your current baseline? You're a listener of a podcast about improving your physical and mental resilience for years to come, so it's probably pretty good. If you think about your success on a scale of 1 to 10, or your happiness, or your health, or your abilities to retire with energy and strength, what would your number be on a scale of 1 to 10? There's a quote I like from a guy named Joe Manganiello. He wrote a book called Evolution, and he was also in Magic Mike. Not sure what kind of qualification that bestows for inspirational quotes. Side note, I've never seen Magic Mike, but I've always thought of it as silly or stupid. But my opinion of Channing Tatum went way up after I saw The Lost City with Sandra Bullock. He's hilarious in that. Then we watched Dog pretty soon after, and I was like, yeah, okay, I guess he's a real actor. I have no idea if Joe Manganiello is an okay actor, but anyway, he said this: truth. You think you're working out at an 8. You're really working out at a 2. I don't care how long you've been training, that's just reality. If that hurts your feelings, I'm sorry. It's time for you to reestablish your baseline in order to define intensity. End quote. I love that. Whether about your health or your fitness or your energy or commitment or ability to make a difference, you think you're at an 8, but you're really at a 2. That's not deflating, it's exciting because it means there's so much more that we can do. We go from working on and worrying about what's holding us back to working on and worrying about how far we can go. We're not even close to our limits. We've got more we can give, not in a masochistic way, but in a joyful way. We start by realizing that we're actually at a 2, and then we figure out how we know when we've gone from a 2 to a 2.5 and what we need to do to get there. Then we continue to operate at a 2.5. That's our new baseline as we enjoy moving to a 3. Hey, I just wanted to quickly interrupt and say good for you for being here listening to a podcast about improving your biological age relative to your chronological age. Have you ever thought about slowing the biological aging of your skin? If you heard my episode 55 about senescent cells, then you know that the accumulation of these undead cells accelerates all of the problems of aging. Well, now there's a topical supplement you can put on your skin that reduces the accumulation of senescent cells in your skin. This reduces wrinkles, but also all other skin conditions caused by thinner, weaker, drier skin. It also reduces the formation of age spots and increases collagen and hyaluronic acid production within your skin. It's a peptide called OS01, and it's in a product called OneSkin. I use it every day on my face and neck, and I've noticed a big difference. I would say my skin is more moisturized, but that's not a good enough description because it's not like when you put moisturizer on, but your skin is still dry underneath. It's the exact opposite. The topical supplement isn't greasy at all, but my skin is plumper and healthier from the inside out. I'm a big fan. If OneSkin sounds like something you'd like to try, there's a link in the show notes to get you $20 off. All right, back to the episode. There's a guy named Josh Waitlist. He was a chess prodigy. The movie Searching for Bobby Fischer is based on his childhood. He then became a Tai Chi master as an adult, and he wrote a book called The Art of Learning, which is great. He talks about how what he loves more than dominating chess or martial arts is the process of studying and training. When he was learning Tai Chi, he would video his sparring sessions and then watch them over and over for moments when he performed better than average. He'd study it in detail until he understood the difference. Like that his opponent was more vulnerable at the moment that he blinked. That's pretty crazy, but it was his way of discovering who he was at his best and then making his prior best his new baseline. So, who are you at your best? When in the past have you executed the healthy behaviors you wanted to be consistent with? When have you gotten great sleep? What led to that? When have you eaten the most vegetables? What made that easy? When has meal prepping been effortless? Is there a time when your stress level was low? What was different then? When have you truly loved your workout routine? Why? What circumstances were different? What were your thoughts about those circumstances? What can you learn from your best moments that would help you get closer to making your best moments your new normal? Getting curious about the nuances of what led to your desirable outcomes can give you a lot of power to figure out how to make those your everyday experiences. What was your last really good day? What made it such a good day? What gives you that sense of pride? I like to mark a lot of things off my to-do list. That makes me happy. Feeling like I didn't waste my time, which is just a thought, but I enjoy feeling like I spent my few precious minutes optimally well. Like I planned ahead and I stayed on task. I did something scary. I connected with another human being. I made the world a little bit better, even if that was only improving my tiny environment. How about you? On a really good day, what did you eat? How did you move? How did you sleep? How well did you focus? What was your self-talk like? How did you connect with others? How can you make your prior best day your new regular average Tuesday? It won't happen this Tuesday, but you'll be amazed at how much you can change after 20 or 50 Tuesdays. It's so fun. Slowly turning up the heat on your baseline is awesome, but moving away from mediocrity can feel a little uncomfortable. By definition, it's our comfort zone because we're comfy there, but that doesn't mean that we can't slowly start to play at the edges of our perceived safety, to go an inch farther than our usual stopping point. If you know who David Goggins is, he's crazy and amazing. He says in his book, Can't Hurt Me, in 1999, when I weighed 297 pounds, my first run was a quarter mile. Fast forward to 2007, I ran 205 miles in 39 hours nonstop. I didn't get there overnight, and I don't expect you to either. Your job is to push past your normal stopping point. End quote. That's a pretty big difference in baseline abilities, from being able to run a quarter mile to being able to run 205 miles. But it all came from pushing just a little bit past his normal stopping point. William James said, "Most people never run far enough on their first win to find out that they've got a second." That's fun because the only way to know what's on the other side of your current limit is to just go a little bit past it and take a look around. You might like it there. You might discover that your past baseline was so far below your actual abilities that it's laughable. One of the things that can help nudge us out of our comfort zone is a good old problem. Joe Manganiello, the Magic Mike guy, said, "Looking back at my life, it was the obstacles, the shortcomings and the failures that forced me to fight harder, to reach inside and pull something truly extraordinary out of myself that I didn't even know existed. My failure was essential to my growth because every time I failed, I learned that it was because I did not fight as hard as humanly possible." Notice that I didn't say fight my hardest. There are a lot of people who try as hard as they can, but their ceilings and limitations are perceived barriers that restrict what they can achieve. We don't know what we can really do until we push past the farthest point we've ever been able to go, where we've never gone before. There is a place beyond the conscious perception of what is achievable, and that is where real success occurs. After years of failure, I learned that there was another gear somewhere inside of me, and oftentimes it took failing to find the upshift. I began to believe that if given enough time and if I followed an intelligent and disciplined plan, I could change so drastically that you wouldn't even recognize me. I had learned to evolve. End quote. Pushing past our perceived limits is a great way to find a new baseline, and it doesn't have to be anything dramatic, but it can be if that sounds fun to you. Another important step in raising your baseline temperature is to block the little double agent who keeps sneaking in and lowering the thermostat as soon as you try to turn it up. Just like we all have potentials that are literally unknowable, we all have a few saboteurs loitering around that keep trying to maintain our low baseline. They're scared of change. They've been safe so far and they don't want to have to acclimate to a higher temperature. It makes sense. But it also doesn't mean that we have to let them sidetrack us. This reminds me of the mind flayer controlling Will Byers in Stranger Things. Do you remember? He likes to stay cool, and Winona Ryder frees Will by turning up a bunch of space heaters. You can turn up your space heater by 1 degree at a time, and it won't feel as scary as fighting a demogorgon. We all have a current baseline, and chances are that we've acclimated to a suboptimal state of psychological and physiological functioning. We think we're at an 8, but we're really at a 2. We think we're doing fine, but we're actually being hindered and we don't even realize it. That's why the little things we do really do matter. Our day-to-day choices matter because it's completely possible to reset our baseline little by little. Right now, we don't even know what it would be like to live every day from a higher baseline, where our highs are higher and our lows are also higher. But can you at least partially imagine what it would be like? The awesome thing about working on resetting your set point is that it's not just a one-time victory. Those are fun, but resetting your set point redefines what's normal, expected, and automatic. And that changes your entire life. Eventually, your prior best is your new baseline. That's what I want for you. Thank you so much for listening today. Next week, we're going to talk about how it's not about you. Until then, slowly reset your internal thermostat and don't be normal. Thank you so much for tuning into the Health Courage Collective podcast. I am truly honored that you have paid me the enormous compliment of your time and attention. I would be so grateful if you would share this podcast with someone you know and subscribe so you never miss an episode. This podcast is for entertainment and information purposes only. Statements and views on this podcast are not medical advice. This podcast, including Christina Hackett and producers, disclaim responsibility for any possible adverse events by use of information contained herein. If you think you have a medical problem, consult a licensed physician.